Well, here we are. So the top is all glued up. I just need to finish the whole thing. Sand it, plane it, get it reasonably flat. And then this is ready to be anchored on there. So both sides obviously have a whole bunch of glue drips and everything. So I'll clean up both sides of it. But once it's anchored, then, because that'll help to flatten it. It does have some warpage because obviously the wood was warped. But yeah, once it's all together, I think it'll be pretty good. So stay tuned because that's going to be a lot of work. So 40 minutes of sanding using my wonderful little Bosch random orbital sander and that same 36 grit sandpaper that I used with refinishing the skillets actually made this look pretty good, considering this is the same surface that we just looked at that had all the glue drips and everything, and the the stickers and labels and all that. I'm actually really surprised at how well that turned out. So this is going to be the bottom. So this will be anchored up against the cabinet. I put in extra cross braces on there because I don't have long enough clamps, and I don't have wooden cauls, clamping cauls, to keep everything flat when I clamp this all together. So I was relying on the dowel pin construction to keep things reasonably flat, and well, yeah, it's not that flat. So I'm hoping that by putting, I don't know, 40 or 50 screws in there up against the countertop, it might actually turn out pretty good. So I'm going to flip it over, position it on the cabinet, start putting screws in, and then once it's anchored on the cabinet, then I will sand the top, and if need be, I'll probably use sanding to get rid of the glue drips and everything, but I might end up using a scrub plane and like a number 5 jack plane to get the top, respectively flat. So should be okay. Alright, so we're pre-drilling all the holes that I'm going to use to anchor the countertop to this. And just wanted to show you how I went ahead and did that. So I measured the total width here, and I figured I want 10 screws to secure this thing throughout that width. So that total width is 34 1/4. So I divided that by 11, not by 10, and divided by 11, and you get 10 holes evenly spaced apart. And the math comes out to 3.1136 inches. Took my dial caliper here, ran it out to 3.11, basically 4, a hair shy of 4, and I just simply went and marked out where each individual hole would be, and now I have 10 perfectly spaced holes all throughout. So I'm going to pre-drill the other runners there the exact same way, and I'm probably also going to have holes run along these stiles here, but it should be good to go. That's going to be a lot of screws. It's going to be, well, basically 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus, I don't know, maybe I'll do 8 or so on either side, so you're probably looking at about 66 screws or so. That'll be fun, but it should hold it flat. Alright. is a 2-speed drill that also ratchets. This thing is phenomenal. So this is high gear, and this is low gear, high torque. It's got a little gear selector back here, just this little knob. You pull it out, and now you're in high gear. Push it in, push it down and inward, and now you're in low gear. There's also a ratcheting selector right here that allows you, if you're in tight spots and you can only crank a certain amount of rotation, you can adjust it such that just by doing this motion, you're still ratcheting in the exact same direction. Left or right, the thing is pretty outstanding. And it was 40 bucks at an antique store. All I did was take it apart, clean everything with kerosene, and then lubed it up with a 00 grade shell grease. And this thing works absolutely beautifully. Couldn't be happier with it. I love old tools. And I love putting them back to work. This thing has patent dates of, looks like 1910 is the latest. So 110-year-old drill. Still works fine. Does not require electrons or batteries or anything. And that's that. This top is anchored. Whoops, I forgot a screw. This clamp was blocking it. There's another screw. Alright, now we are done. All that remains is to sand up the top and plane it flat.